Alright everyone, this is going to be a quick video about the user interface of Illustrator and how to open a document. So let's jump in. If you go over here to the blue button, click New File, it'll give you an option to set up your entire workspace to have everything you want on it. There's a bunch of different presets that you can go to. There's like mobile, you can go to the iPhone, you can go to web-based, common, web large, film and video, different TV screen sizes. I tend to generally change all this while I'm working on my document. So you can go ahead and just pick one of these presets. It doesn't matter at the moment. What you do want to make sure though is because of how we're used to working that there's a few options over here that you double check. So for instance, on the width and the height of your document, make sure everything's set in inches. So you can click on it and there's a bunch of different options. Sometimes it's set to pixels, feet, sometimes it's like centimeters, meters. A lot of people will make the mistake and have it set to pixels, and then when they output their artwork, it's like the size of, you know, a little stamp. And they're like, why is it so small? It's generally because you're set to pixels and you're not set to inches. So make sure you're set to inches. You can change the orientation that your page is, but like I said, this is very, very easy to change inside of Illustrator while you're working on it. So I tend not to mess with any of that stuff. What I do want to double check though is the color mode. I want to make sure that I'm in RGB mode because this is for computer screens or phone and TV screens. CMYK color is sent for print. So you have to be aware of what you're trying to make. If you're trying to make something that's going to be viewed on a computer, which is what we're going to be doing, we want to set it to red, green, blue color because that's what a computer uses to make their light. CMYK is cyan, magenta, yellow, and black color. That's what a printer uses to make its color. And so we need to let Illustrator know exactly what it needs to set for its color settings so that when we output it the way we want it to, it'll make sense. So set to RGB, and then your raster effects screen setting 72 is a very fast and easy light setting for your computer, and the school computers are not very efficient, so sometimes they need a little help, and I would set yours to screen 72 ppi so that it doesn't have to try too hard to render the pictures that you put in it. If you set it to high, your picture quality will look really great. It'll look exactly like the picture's supposed to look, but it'll also take a lot of performance away. So I'm just going to keep all the settings here, and I'm going to hit create, and then it's going to open up a new document for us. So mine moved over here. So right now it opened up a window for us. It's going to have my window panels in here. Generally yours is going to be set up inside of the document like this, but I had mine off to the side and it opened it up over there. So this is what your space should look like when you first open it. If you guys are familiar with Photoshop, it's very much the exact same setup. There's a couple key differences though. Like for instance, we're not working on a canvas in a blank space anymore. Illustrator uses something called a workspace where this whole area is your canvas. You can think of it as a desktop, and this is just your piece of paper that you're currently working on. And what's really nice is that you can at any time add a new piece of paper, and you can add many pieces of paper, as many as you need to get your stuff done. These are also movable. You can kind of rearrange them in ways that make sense. So generally I wouldn't work with this many artboards. These are what they're called. I wouldn't work with this many. It's not really necessary, but you have the option to if you want to. Okay, so yeah, think of this as just a piece of paper on the desk, and you can move your desk around. You can even work on the desk if you want to. You can take things, and instead of working just like in Photoshop, how you have to work on the canvas, you can actually work out here on you know, the desk itself, and you can build things, you can rearrange things, you can actually have this here, but the artboard is the actual output. So when you save your image to like as a JPEG or whatever you're going to save it as, this is the image that's going to show up. It's going to be within the artboard. It's not going to show anything up out over here. All right, so to rearrange or to actually go over everything that we're supposed to, at the very top we have our file bar. This is where all the background stuff is that we need. So this is how you save. You go to File, Save As to save your working document. You go to File, Export, Export As to save a JPEG or a PNG. There's a bunch of different options here for the different effects that we have. One of the most important ones that we have is Window. Window we're going to go over in a little bit, but this is where you find all of your different panels, toolbars, the actual object that you're working on, the canvas space that you're working on, and other things as well. So on the left, we have our toolbar. This is where all the tools are. We're going to have a whole video where we talk just about these and how to get those all mastered. Above here is our work bar, like our options bar. This is going to change depending on your tool. So if you have a different tool, I'm sorry, this is going to change over here. Everything's different in Photoshop. This is going to change. The properties panel is going to change depending on the tool that you're going to use. And that's going to also affect this stuff over here. So this is just an options bar. This just gives you a few different things for like shapes and strokes and stuff. We're going to talk about that when we talk about tools. You don't have to worry about that. But over here on the panel side, this is where your panels, your specific tool options are going to be generally. So like I said, if we go over to like a square and we generate our own little shape here, you're going to see that we have different options that show up as we do it. So we can change the fill, the stroke, we'll talk about that, and opacity and such. So to reiterate, tools over here, options over here, and then specific tool options are on this side. We also have our layers, which we're going to go specifically over how this works in another video as well, because this is different than how the Photoshop layers work. But just to get you guys set up, while you guys are moving around in the space bar lets you move your canvas around, lets you look around your workspace. If you hold control and space at the same time and then you go left or right, you can zoom in and out. You can also hit plus or minus, control plus or minus on the keyboard to help you zoom in and out in increments. You can rotate things when you make your objects with a specific tool. You can't really rotate your canvas here in Illustrator like you do in Photoshop because it's not really necessary. So if you're trying to rotate the canvas to get a different angle to work on, you're not going to find that option too much. It doesn't really work that same way. So, oh, and then if you make a mistake, like if you make an object, you're like, oh, I didn't mean to do that. You can hold Control and Z, and it'll step back. You can also hold Control, Shift, and Z to bring everything forward again. So you can go back a few times, go forward a few times, just to see what you kind of prefer. And that's all that is for this video. This is just a quick one on the user interface, and that's it. So thank you guys. I'll see you in the next one.